I mean, when I think about it. So that night I met her and she made me walk to that seedy hostel. It's either called Leicester Street or Leyland Road. They have two terrible ones in Southport. Um, and I think it's run by that Mark man. The one that she said had abused her on the phone. He's sworn at her and everything. She's reporting him. It was awful, but that's besides the point. There was a very lovely man there. Leyland Road, I think it was, that night. And this was the Friday night, and he was lovely, this man. He had a Cockney accent, or Essex accent, down south accent. Lovely, lovely man he was, very understanding. And he was mortified because he couldn't understand why a person like me would be put in a place like that. Because he said it's for naughty boys and girls, this. And they seemed to understand what they meant. But it turns out I found out what that means, because I'm a bit gullible, aren't I, let's face it. It means it's a halfway house. They come out of prison and go in there. And most of them are on heroin and drugs and other drugs and ecstasy. Goodness knows what you call these drugs. You know what I mean. Full of alcohol and all that. Not a person of my calibre that's led a very, very sheltered upbringing, who's teetotal, a nervous wreck like me, vulnerable, disabled, to shove me amongst people like that. It's an outrage, that's what it is. But he agreed. He was a lovely man. But I just thought I'd put it on here. It's disgusting, this country, the way it's run now, to put people like me amongst them. I suppose they haven't put children amongst ex-cons and things now. You know what I mean? Nothing would surprise me now. But I was absolutely disgusted with that. It's a place for naughty boys and girls, not for somebody like me, not for somebody who's not been in prison, not for somebody who's a teetotaler, who's never been on drugs, still a virgin, a very clean, decent human being like me, which I am. I'm proud to be, because I am a good human being. I'm not a person of that calibre. A decent, trustworthy person who would not steal or do anything incorrect. And yet, you have these people like that, shoved all together. I'm at the mercy of them. I could easily be raped, beaten to a pulp, mugged, any of these things. All of them would happen to me amongst dangerous criminals like that. And yet they put me in a dirty place like that. Oh, to dive in there too. Oh my God. That one was worse, because I can remember they showed me this room was like a cell. They're just like cells. And that poor woman, because she is a vulnerable person, and I'm not putting her name on here to protect her, so she gets protected, because she's ashamed she's in there. I'm sure she is. And they dumped her. She slipped under the net like me in the other one. And instead of giving her a hotel and helping her, no, she said they don't care and they're giving her no help at all. They're not intent on moving her on. They've dumped her in that other one, the Leicester Street one, and they put this poor vulnerable woman, they won't know who it is because there's many people there. They put this poor vulnerable woman, who's very vulnerable, in there. She's very unhappy. She looked suicidal to me. She had given up on life. She looked so depressed, and you can tell, because she was staring like that. She looked terrible, so miserable. The food in there is inedible, and she said you can't have your own food in there now. You can't talk to other people. They lock you in at 8 o'clock. The hatch goes down, you shut in the room. Then you're kicked out the next day on the streets all day from about 8 in the cold. And then you have to come back like that, treated like, worse than animals, treated like prisoners. It's like an open prison. That's what she said. It's awful. It's gone a lot worse. They've become really horrible to her. And that poor woman, I've got no money. I can't get her out, and I'm feeling guilty because she's put it on me. She's told me she's unhappy there. What can I do about it? And I mean, I can tell this woman in the church, but I don't think she can cope. She's already put me in a hotel now in Southport. And she's moved me now today. I'm going to another one because she didn't know they don't have lifts. I don't think they're going to get me up the stairs, to be honest. Don't know what they're going to do. I'm in a B&B she's put me in, and it's up 2 flights of stairs. They've got no other rooms. So she's managed to get me on the first floor, but she doesn't know how the hell she's going to get me up narrow stairs, this poor woman. But I don't know whether they can move me back here or they can do something, because this Clifton has lifts, you see. It's okay in here. And they put me in a smaller room now. It's much warmer. It's fine in here now. But last night before, it was freezing because they came in at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the room was massive. No heating on. He gave me a little plug-in heater, so I had to sit by it with my coat on, all cuddled round it. I couldn't get on the bed. It was freezing. But now I had a sleep last night. It's lovely in here now. It's fine. It's fine in here. It's very clean, and it's fine. But I don't know what to do, because I know these B&Bs are clean. They're very good because they look after their own places because they want people coming back. Because I was in a B&B in Southport 20 years ago, and it was called Crest or something. Lovely man and woman running it, lovely people. But they've retired and gone now, she said. But she knew who they were. But I can't remember the name now. But they were lovely, lovely people. And I was there until I got my lovely flat in Heswell because life was different then. So my mother put me there for about a fortnight, and then I got a fortnight to 3 weeks, something like that, while I was getting into the flat that was still being built. And then I got into it, and that's how things were then. I just wish that would happen now, and that I could be getting into a flat just like the one in Heswell, because that was perfect for me. Brand new little flat. That was £600 a month then. What they give you now with this is, that's why I have to die. I can see that. I'm going day by day. Anyway, I had another night alive, and it was nice sleeping in a nice bed in a warm, comfortable room. And thank you to the lady from the church called Nagoya. I think. I'm not very good because it's foreign names, so I'm no good at pronunciation. But that was the woman that this man had abused from the hostel. Apparently he'd sworn a mouthful of abuse. He was very aggressive. Had left her in a traumatised state. She's reported it to her vicar in charge, or whatever, priest, or whatever you call them, pastors, I think they called him, I'm not sure. And he's going to take the matter further. But she's very upset about it all, and the whole situation is not okay. But at least she had the decency. It's members of the public that are helping me, because the councils are not helping me. They're leaving me to die on the streets. That's what this country does now, okay? I've spoken to many homeless people, and they're in the gutter, freezing to death. And they can get away with this because they're on drugs and alcohol. They're getting away with it because they're lying and saying probably they've been offered places and they haven't, or such slum dwellings that they can't deal with it. But because they're on drugs and alcohol, they say they've chosen to sleep outside. So it's a big cover-up in this country, and people need to be aware of this. And Russell and me are going to come forward, and he wants to go down to Downing Street with me when he gets his next payment. And he's in hospital at the minute because he's got bad kidneys with all the overdoses he's taken. But we're going down because we need to address the situation, because we are both clean, decent, living people who have slipped under the net because we are homeless. We have been treated like absolute scum, which we are not. We are decent human beings just because we have no money. And we need to be treated a bit differently. And also, all the people, even though they've been in prison, even though they're on drugs and alcohol, they need to be put into rehab. They need help. They do not need to be thrown on the gutter or in some dirty, dismal places to make them turn to alcohol and drugs more. They need assistance, but no, they're getting away with it. So the corrupt councils and the corrupt government are getting away with this, and you heard it from me first. And I'm on here. And please pass this message further. Pass it to King Charles. He needs to know, because he would stop it like that. King Charles, I address you. I know you care. Please take me in, because I will be fine in the palace with you. There would not be a problem. I need help. I'm scared. We need to help everybody in Britain who is homeless. We need to stop this situation. In this country, we are not a third world country. Third world countries are doing more. They're giving them mud huts. They're giving them places to live, mud huts. Here, you're not allowed to build your own place. People are trying to. Eco warriors and things are trying to. And then they get taken down in fields and things. You're not allowed to, because they want you on the streets dying. And they can do what they want. As Russell said, they can manipulate people who are on drugs and alcohol because they're not thinking straight. So they can say they're lying, they made it up, because their brain cells aren't functioning properly, because the alcohol does that, and so do drugs. So the government can get away with that corruption and say, ooh, they chose to sleep outside. Because I was told that by those, they're on drugs themselves, by those ones under Chester West Housing Option Team, not the rest of the housing, rest of the Chester. It's called Four Futures, that movement, oh my God. And they're all smoking weed. Well, they told me that they've chosen to sleep outside. When I saw a distressed woman on the street one day in Chester, that they've all been offered suitable accommodation. Well, if it goes by anything they've offered me, it's far from suitable. It's not fit to put a rhino in, to be honest. It was that disgusting. It's like, how clean is your house when a person's died with about 1 million cats, and their man are coming in and it's going like that and moving the stuff, dead animals, dead cats and excrement and everything. And what they've done is just moved the goods, the carpet, but left you with all the dirt and the stench of dead bodies. And that's what they offered me. And they said it was suitable accommodation. It is not suitable accommodation because them themselves are living in lovely houses themselves. They've got overpaid jobs and underworked. That's what they are, all of them. And this needs to change. People need to go behind this. We need more people with hidden cameras. I'm willing to do that. But now I've come on here, they know it's me. But you need actors. We need people with hidden cameras going in, pretending to be drunk and alcohol homeless, going undercover, filming this, putting it on Panorama. And that's what needs to happen now, because it needs to be exposed. There is a massive cover-up where what they're doing is 99.9% of homeless people are on drugs and alcohol, okay? And they've been to prison. So they can get away with abusing them. They can get away with this behaviour by manipulating them into terrible accommodation and bullying them into that, because they had bullied, what's his name now? I can't remember his name. Spud. He said he'd been treated terribly, and he admitted he's an alcoholic, and he's on drugs and everything. And you've seen him on the video below. He's hilarious, actually. But he's you know what I mean? Completely different caliber to me. But he came on, and he wants something to be on the news because they've treated him appallingly, lying about him because he's drunk and he's on drugs and he will lose his temper easily because they're agitating him. They get them to the point where they become aggressive. They've already been in prison, a lot of them, so they can just get away with it. So they're already criminal. Oh, they were abusive to us. We didn't do anything. We're helping people. You're not helping people at all. People from the councils aren't. And I think it seems to be like most of these councils are pretty bad, if you ask me. Because that in Sefton, that is absolute disgusting. They should be ashamed of themselves in those, putting them in those dives, in those, they call them pods, like prison cells, tiny little rooms, locking the door on them like that. And this poor woman, I hope to God I don't hear of her on here, on some news channel that she's taken her life or something, because she's a lovely person. She deserves better. She deserves to be put in a B&B and then found a flat and helped, not dumped in a place like that. I must say, loads of councils like London and things would put you in hotels, B&Bs and things. They use travel lodges, Premier Inns, Holiday Inns in the big cities and things like that for me, because I need a lift. And then lots of B&Bs, which are very nice. And lots of those where people can walk up the stairs, because around the city, you know, there are millions of those everywhere. There's a whole street in Southport. As I said, I was there for a whole, because they did a special deal. I was there for about 3 weeks or more. I was there for ages in that hotel until I moved into the flat in Haswell. Yep, very clean, very decent. Lovely people running it, because it's their own place, you see, and they gave you a breakfast. That was thrown in, it was lovely. But it's very good, because when they run it themselves, they'll help you then. They'll take your bags up and everything. Whereas chains, sometimes they're too busy. They say, leave your bags, and then you have to struggle, you know what I mean? But if it's a privately run place, they'll help you a lot more. Anyway, but the thing is, I don't know how they're going to get me up those stairs today, because she's got me in there tonight. I don't know why she's done that, because apparently somebody said this Clifton is cheaper, so, oh God, I don't know, honestly. Anyway, I'm going to go downstairs to speak to the Clifton now, to see whether what they can do, about it. I don't think they can do a lot, but it's very, I don't know what to do. I'm not worried about that now. What I'm worried about now is that this message gets forwarded, because goodness knows, with internet and things, because B&Bs, a lot of them don't have it, when you will get this message. But when you see it, please listen to it, and please process it, and please try and do something with it. Because I can see what Russell, we had a long conversation, what's going on. There is like conspiracy theories, they call them. Well, this is a big conspiracy or whatever it is with the government. Because what they're doing is they're trying to get hold of all the drunks and alcoholics. most people like that are homeless, so they can do what they want with them. So it's a big cover-up to say they're helping them when actually they are not helping them. Because everyone I've spoke to has only been offered terrible accommodation, and they've chosen to go back on the streets. Like Russell, he's not an alcoholic. He's chosen to go outside because he can't deal with the accommodation offered. They make it so unbearable that most people can't take it. You'd have to be completely spaced out to be able to go into any of those hostels, I'm telling you. You'd have to drug me right up to the hill where I was completely unconscious and didn't know what the fuck I was doing before I'd contemplate ever going to a place like that. Ever again. That's why he said he'd rather freeze outside. And we shouldn't be freezing outside. Not in this country. We're not a third world country. This needs reporting to the King of England. Charles, I address you, Charles. If somebody please pass this message on to you, that this is how they're running your country. And you need to put a stop on it, please. Because you're a decent human and you would not want this. You're a decent person. I know you are. And I know that you just wouldn't want this. And you would stop it immediately because you actually care. You're not one of these people who don't care. You're a person that does care, because I know you do. And I want this message to go to Charles, because Charles is a most decent human being. And he cares about the planet, trees, animals, people. He actually cares about people. He's not one of these people who just likes, oh, I'm famous and I'm rich and I'm shopping and I'm this, that, the other. Oh, look at my designer gear. He's not an artificial person at all. He's a genuine person. He just happens to have been born into the royal family. So because of that, he gets bullied. It's not his fault where he is born, but he is born in power. He is the most powerful person in England now. And it's the king's country, not these people in government's country. It's his country. And he should decide who should be the Prime Minister. I'd make a better Prime Minister, me and Russell, than anybody else, to be honest, because I care. You could put me on there. I know I wouldn't, but I mean, but I would do it right, because I would actually do something about it all. I would change it around completely. I'm telling you, within a week. People on benefits would all be living in luxury, believe me. Nobody would be in squalor. Nobody'd have to worry about not being able to eat and any of that again. And the people who are rich would be taxed so heavily that they'd know what it's like, because they shouldn't be such a big thing. It should be like Sweden, where everybody's the same. Where I've heard from that man who was in Sweden, there's no rich people, there's no poor people in Sweden. Everyone has the same. That's why it's much nicer. They treat people with respect, and it's a lovely country. And then and that national health, they don't have national health, it's better than that. And it's all the hospitals are clean and practically empty, because people's health is better, because people are happier, so they eat better, because they can afford to eat better. And there's no jealousy, because there's no rich and poor business. So the crime will go right down like that. Prisons will be empty, because it will be only full of people who have murdered weird people who've got problems. But there'll be no crime, because you're not jealous of anybody. So the people who are starving aren't having to break into rich people's houses to steal jewellery and stuff like they do here, to survive, because they're all the same. And everybody should be the same, because we are the same. We've all got faces, legs and arms, well, unless you're disabled and you don't have, but you know what I mean, where we're all in bodies. We all piss and shit. We all eat. So we all should be treated the same. Nobody should be given to be going around like I am and Russell. It's an absolute outrage. Anyway, I thought I'd just address this, that it should be run like Sweden. Sweden's a wonderful country. And because of that, the actual royal family in Sweden just walk about the streets. They don't have to have bodyguards, because there's no jealousy thing. Here, the royal family are hated because they're in palaces and they have money because they're the royal family. So they think, oh, they're getting designer gear. They're getting, shallow people are thinking that, because I want designer gear. This is what these are the shallow people. I have to save up for a designer bag for 3 years or something. These people are like that. And then you've got these people who are just in different things every day because they have the money to walk about like that. So because of that, they're hated. So a jealousy thing. So they have to have bodyguards to